Here we are at Mount Vernon for Week 2 of Major League Ultimate, having the Seattle Rainmakers take on the Vancouver Nighthawks. Mount Vernon being in America, about an hour north of Seattle, 2 hours south of Vancouver. This is a home team advantage for the Rainmakers, but we do have quite a few in the crowd rooting for Canada today. You could hear it when they were singing the national anthem all together, just about as loud as the American, as we're seeing both teams take the field. Weather right now is beautiful. It's going to be difficult for defenses to do anything here because the wind's not helping, the rain's not helping, there is no wind, there is no rain, and so the offense is going to be able to put it pretty much anywhere they want. As we're about to see Morgan Hibbert kick this game off. Pull goes up. Deep into Seattle as Pape centers to McKibben. It's a horizontal offense. As you see a man defense, everybody's playing bread and butter right now. Standard horizontal offense, standard man defense. Force looks to be backhand, a little different. There's the center to Mark Burton, who really carried the team on his back last week, scoring about half of their goals. Todd Sleva with the disc. As Morgan Hibbert tries to shut down Mark Burton. Mark Burton, who's going to have trouble keeping it in, but does on the far sideline. Takes a bit of a blade, and Jeff Pape gets up to put that first point on the board for the Rainmakers. As Captain Lugsden was saying, he's not concerned about the offense at all. He's expecting even a couple missteps right now as people find their places, and he said that's really all okay with him. Pull's going up, and he just wants to see who's going to be wearing this team. As the Seattle defense comes down confused, they came down in a little junk to throw off some initial moves, switching to man immediately. Working on that double team. Almost works to get Savage right on the sideline, but he catches it inbounds. Savage shooting up just a Hail Mary at a high stall. That's going to be contested. 3 players with the disc. Referees are going to call it a goal. I expect we're going to see some more Morgan Hibbert marked up against Mark Burton for the Rainmakers. Burton being an offensive all-star for the Rainmakers, starting on this close sideline as the disc is centered to McKibben. Fairly deep stack, especially Lynch and Isaac Entz being very deep. Fantastic bid there by Fitzgerald. But McKibben hangs on to it as the disc comes all the way to the close sideline. Lynch with the disc. Faking the big shot. And there's Hero. Mark Burton isolated in the middle. Morgan Hibbert on him, as we expected. Hero might have a bit of a speed advantage here, but Hibbert, 6'4", is going to own the skies, putting a very small window to throw into. As Lynch gets that disc and finds that window to a diving Burton. Eddie Feely for the Seattle defense is going to take the pull. Pointing to other folks, telling them where to be. Sounds like he's going to be a defensive captain this year. Pull going down, being centered right away to Savage. There's a vertical stack. Looks like there was a play call initially, but Seattle came down a bit junky with the dump defenders pulling off. Might have flustered that play call. Puts it up to Wong. Wong, last year's MVP. I think we're going to see him and Morgan Hibbert catching it underneath quite a bit, as people are so scared of them going deep that they're being backed and given the underneath throws. Big throw to a diving Savage, who calls it up. I'm guessing he's going to pull, run down, and guard Mark Burton. Mark Burton starting on the close side. And we're going to have a center to McKibben. Horizontal stack. Everything as called. That's got to be okay for Seattle, who has right now been scoring pretty easily on offense and not looking to change anything. Moves it up to Sleva. More of a straight-up mark right now that you see by the Vancouver defense. And just like we were saying with Wong and Hibbert, Mark Burton's going to be getting open underneath as people are so afraid of him cutting in the end zone. Big move over, and a little dish past another frustrating dive, being right there on the defense, but not able to stop it as Jeff Pape gets the 3rd score. Pull coming up for Seattle. as Klein throws it down. Pulls it right off the ground, centering to Savage. Again, there's a clear play call from the start. Rainmakers might know that. Nighthawks like to start with play calls and are coming down a bit junky for the first one or two, just pulling off and making sure that that play doesn't go as planned. Though Tesserolo hit in the middle. He's got to get up. Intended for Irick, but battled down by, it looks like, Feely over there. First turnover of the game. That's 3 minutes, 15 seconds in. 5 points, 3 minutes, 1 turnover. Got to be happy for both teams. Pickle moving the disc over all the way to the close sideline with Feely. See if the Seattle defense against a typical offense is going to make it. Big shot goes up. Morgan Hibbert's there. And a great bid by Bren Byerly. Always a small window to get it past the long arms of Morgan Hibbert. Now Savage is going to be able to take this do-over and start it from the back of his own end zone. Full field to work against. Neely on the mark, very active, trying to fluster him. Barely scoots it in. Trapped on that sideline with the double team as he finds Irick in the middle of the end zone. Slightly flustered. Hoy with the disc right now. Not trapped, but a bit stranded and all the way on the sideline. You can hear that crowd chanting for defense. Obvious home team advantage for Seattle. As a somewhat late bid by Neely. Sorry, that was Simon. Now there's Irick with a big throw. And he has no problem finding Wong. Wong very accustomed. Sneaky throw by Wong. Wong very accustomed to being almost in the end zone out there after a big shot. And he gets the goal. He is a goal-scoring machine out there. Now it's going to be a Nighthawks defense that are going to have to show that they can fluster Seattle's offense. As Pape gets the disc, centers to Tridiak. And they are trying something different. They're going what looked like a 1-3-3 to start. Or something junky, where they ran down guarded positions and then found who they were going to guard. Leaving Sleeve a bit open in the middle there. Finding House. Hauser dishes it to Tridiak right in the middle of the field. Winding up that hammer. And instead decides to take a little dump. Moves it to the close sideline. Third time for the Nighthawks that they've had tough defense diving past, but unable to put it in. There's a little fun scuba from Tridiak and called in as Cam Bailey toes the line in this corner. Cam Bailey going to celebrate over there. There's defensive captain Feely with the disc. Pulling for Seattle. As we're going to have Hoy get the disc, center to Savage. And another play call as you see a split sack. 2 came over, leaving Tesserolo unmarked on the far sideline. Tesserolo hits Irick. I'm not sure who's even supposed to be guarding Irick. He is uncovered right now. As Byerly finally picks him up, and now it's 7-on-7 man defense. Everybody knows who they're getting. Nighthawks not really able to take advantage of that confusion as Hoy is sitting on the sideline, centering to Savage. All the way across. To Loach, and then there's just a slightly missed throw a little behind the intended receiver as Feely gets the disc and hucks it right away to Byerly running deep, and that is going to work. A beautiful throw by Feely. My mistake. Well, from here it looked just fine, but that almost didn't even come back in bounds. It was further away than we thought here. As Feely picks it up, shoots to Byerly right away. And we're going to have a repeat of last point with Savage running into the end zone and bringing that disc up on the far sideline, trapped there, I'm sure, by Neely. Trapped on that sideline, not sure how to get it off. Very dangerous position to be in. Pointing, ends up throwing it up, seeing if Hoy can bring it down. Nobody quite brings it down. People all mushed together makes it hard to jump. Disc floats over everyone. Loach almost able to get it. And a very good D by Hoy, it looks like, who just ran through and took it as if it were intended for him. Taking over right now. Over to Tesserolo. Upfield, there's a little floater. Very pretty spot. Very pretty spot in that close corner for a point, Nighthawks. We have Morgan Hibbert with the disc. Big surprise. He's going to be the Nighthawks version of Eddie Feely. He's the one with the disc, 1 point and fingers. He's taking control of the defense, position he's been doing for years now. In fact, last year he had, looks on my sheet like he had 24 Ds, 21 Ds. Most folks that are good defenders end the season with maybe 9 Ds, would be averaging almost a D a game. That's fantastic. 21 Ds for Morgan Hibbert. He is a scary man to be guarding. Scary man to be up against. As they take it right away with Hochhelter finding it, putting it up. Danny Tridiak's got to try to stop it. Wow. Good bid by Tridiak, but he can't stop the score. Hibbert with the disc, exact same D-line out. It worked last time. They just got their break back. So the Vancouver defense finally breaks Seattle's offense. And Hibbert pulls what looks like it's going to be out the far sideline, out by about a meter. So Andrew Lynch is going to come center that. Lynch, usually a defensive handler. They're putting him on offense here. Maybe due to the break, just switching some players up. Starts off right away, finding Mark Burton. Mark Burton, who's going to take no time and take a deep shot, floating a little bit. But Sleva gets there first and able to go up a little before Hibbert. 2 minutes left in the first quarter, 5-5. High-scoring game right now. What you'd expect when there's very little wind, very little rain. Offenses, few turnovers, and able to throw it almost anywhere. Another set play that works once again as the sideline is cleared and Loach is the only one remaining there. Puts it up very quickly to Tesserolo. Tesserolo stuck on that sideline, not sure what to do. Dishes up to Savage. Savage still stuck on that sideline, though. Finally centering it to Creed. And Creed puts it right back to the sideline with Savage. Savage looking even at upside down throws, ends up with a blade. Eddie Feely going to dive, but looks like he tricked intended receiver Wong a bit to run a little further as the disc goes past both of them. Feely, that defensive handler, running far to get that frisbee and bring it back. Seattle set up in a horizontal stack. 3 handlers across. Man defense by Vancouver. Setting up for switching. As Whipple looking for a foul there, hits Beener. And Beener outthrows Fan a little bit. Fan takes to the air, can't pull it down. Hammer goes up to a very open Tesserolo as the Nighthawks bring it up 6-5 Vancouver. As the Vancouver defense settles into their plan for this point. Henry Fan on the sideline doing push-ups. I think that was self-imposed punishment for not catching that flying attempt from the throw from Beener. Disc comes all the way down. Quick movement. Looks like it's working through Andrew Lynch, who finds a totally unguarded Todd Sleva in the end zone. As Andrew Takahashi puts it up. And so do the Rainmakers, pulling. Savage picks it up. Rainmakers decided this was the point they were going to run down hard and try to stomp him. Moves it over to Loach, it looks like. And then Morgan Hibbert with that lefty. Nobody on Arick in the middle of the field. As Arick tries to find and succeeds in finding a Wong who went up, came down hard. Henry Fan making sure he's okay, and Wong limping off the field. Looks like he'll be all right. Good work. Score 7-6. Nighthawks up 19 seconds in the quarter. As Seattle tries to work it up as much as they can for the first 15 seconds, make sure the clock's going to run down. And then we'll shoot a Hail Mary to their own tall line. Disc sailing over the head of 6'6" Isaac Entz. Almost certainly make his way to the end zone. As off-screen well to the right, Morgan Hibbert is playing about 15 yards deeper than any Rainmaker. Pretty much playing a free safety back there. 19 seconds left. Clock comes in as soon as the disc hits. Moving up almost to half field. Tridiak with the disc. Everyone going towards the end zone. Hits McKibben. 10 seconds left. McKibben dishing it up. They're actually working their way up. Sleva. 3 seconds left, and there's a D right there as he just throws it into Nighthawks. Hands who are going to hold it as the quarter comes to a close. 7-6 Nighthawks. As tight as you can get here at MLU Week 2.
Do you have an athletic event, team trip, or corporate outing coming up? If so, charter a private bus, minibus, or party bus from U.S. Coachways. Bus travel is one of the safest, greenest, and most comfortable ways to get your group to an event. If you're going with a group, trust U.S. Coachways. That's what we do. Canterbury, the official apparel supplier to Major League Ultimate. Dress like a pro. Visit www.canterburyus.com, the destination for all your team's custom uniforms and athletic apparel needs. Canterbury, proud partner of Major League Ultimate, committed to the game. Go to discstore.com to purchase official merchandise of Major League Ultimate, game discs, apparel, accessories, and more. Discstore.com is the world's premier supplier of Ultimate Frisbee products and the official store of the MLU. Discstore.com, that's discstore.com.
But the Seattle defense has been coming down a bit junky for the first one or two and breaking it up. So not sure if they're going to start experimenting or if they're going to keep on keeping on and let the players just do what they've been doing, keep scoring points. Looks like keep doing what they are doing is the center to Savage, split stack. And they have a play call that brought Irick underneath, who shuffled out, and let Tessarola come under, who then hits Irick. There's a foot race, and a very nice grab. Right on the sideline, as Loach finds Kirk Savage, usually a handler. Squirrely guy gets into the end zone, puts a goal on his resume. Talked to Coach Gusson for the Rainmakers before the game. Asked him what the goal was. He just kind of smiled and said, I just want to win. Fantastic pull. Barely floating out of bounds. Had Jeff Pape a little worried there by Morgan Hibbert. And, you know, a close game, even one that you lose, is frustrating, as the Nighthawks can tell you, losing 15-14 last week. But right now the Rainmakers just want to show that they can play with these teams after the first game did not go as they had planned. Sleeve on the close sideline, centering it all the way back to Rupp. And Rupp finds Mark Burton, who takes a easy hammer and finds Jeff Pape. And that was a slightly, I don't think it was a zone, I think it was just a couple of botched switches as you see all the defensive players talking to each other. Pull goes up from the Rainmakers, as it looks like Hoy is going to catch the disc and center to Savage. That was Pickle running down trying to break that up, but couldn't do it. Savage hitting Wong for a 30-yard gainer, and a 20-yard gainer. Far sideline working it up as Tessarola has the disc. Finds Arick, his favorite receiver it seems like, and just jams it up that sideline to Brendan Wong. Wong, last year's MVP, so hard to guard. Defensive star Morgan Hibbert with the disc. Starting a little closer the near sideline, making sure that pull stays in bounds. Fantastic pull, going to be picked up by McKibben. Centers to Pape. As you saw Chu screaming down. And forces a bit of an error there by having those Nighthawks scream down. Morgan Hibbert says, hey, let's calm down. We're on offense now. No more excitement. Keep the disc in our hands. Disc picked up. Hibbert trying something. Matickman doesn't like it, but finds Hibbert eventually. Hibbert's starting to go lefty while a timeout looks like it's called. Timeout by the Nighthawks. Make sure they put this one in. Nighthawks setting up with a vertical stack. Brendan Wong is the front of the stack, ISO'd, with Morgan Hibbert behind him. One dump back, looks like Hoy. Savage with the disc. Hoy goes upfield immediately. Brendan Wong comes back. Long shot over to Brendan, clearing to the far side of the field. But whoever was the continue wasn't there. Savage gets found with a scuba, who dishes it to Creed for a goal, putting another break on the board for the Nighthawks as they go up 10-7. Hibbert with the disc. Defensive line for Vancouver out. There's that monster pull. Sails over the head of Isaac Entz. Hits McKibben. McKibben's going to center over to Rupp. Rupp on the near sideline. Finds Burton. Burton being guarded by Hibbert. That's going to be a common sight we have. Rupp not looking downfield too much, as everyone seems to be extremely deep. Finds Burton coming underneath. Hibbert not letting him get deep on him. Pape with the disc. There's some players like Isaac Entz who are 40 yards deep. Picked up by Chris Rupp. Doesn't look like they're trying. There was almost a hand block there by Lamb, but picked up by McKibben. It doesn't look like the offense is trying to do a dominator, but the the offensive cutters are so far away that they don't really have much choice but to look at the other handlers. Right now, those offensive cutters are off your screen to the right. They're so far out there. As that throw goes up, floats, and nobody's anywhere near it. Picked up by the defense. As Fitzgerald sends it over to the far sideline with Ponte. Ponte stuck, Stahl getting high, but finds Hibbert. Hibbert's deciding to throw a lefty this time. He has to make that decision. As soon as he decides what foot to step out with, he throws righty and lefty. As that throw is a little confused and gets picked off by, I believe that was Burton's going to get the stat for that. Sorry, that wasn't Burton. That was Cam Bailey. There's Burton with the disc now. And he's going to once again shoot it to a very open Todd Sleva. Sleva, who is really being a goal missile this game. You can hear this crowd getting excited. Maybe some people are cheering for the pole, but most are cheering for the T-shirt cannon right now. As Savage picks up the disc. Centers to a little bobble. And that's going to go too high. As the Nighthawks try to go over the back of the defender. But the disc is going to sail over both of them. Called a foul, though? Looks like it's called a foul. And Loach is going to be able to pick up that disc on the far sideline. Loach a bit stranded back there as Savage comes back to help. Fan puts a small window, but manages to hit it. Eric with the disc near us. Once again, those downfield cutters very far from the disc. A little more confident in the throws because there's such little wind. And there's a confident throw right there. A little too far for Wong. As Wong and Byerly just watch the disc sail past in front of them. Eddie Feely picking it up, being marked by Loach. Straight up mark for now. You're going to see these straight up. Makes it a little harder for the defense, but at least that offense isn't able to just shoot it off too quickly. As Neely sends it back to Feely, putting it all the way around, intended for Fan, but picked off by Savage. Throw behind him. Savage alone. Goofy scuba to a, wow, stellar grab. Hibbert with the pull. Seattle's offense doing all right. They have been broken a couple times, but generally doing fine. Center to Danny Tridiak. Tridiak immediately shoots to a diving. Looks like, is that Clay? Oh, that's Laws down there. Laws diving, gets a hand on it, a little frustrated. Rule in the league is if you can touch it, you can catch it. Don't know if that's always true, but Law's a little frustrated as he finds himself now on the mark. And again, one of these set plays for Nighthawks, but is broken up by a timeout. Looks like Nighthawks' second timeout for the half. As they're setting up in a vertical stack, Seattle defense responds with a clammy defense, people taking cuts in positions rather than people in particular. As the cuts start to develop, folks switch off. There's a bid there by Klein. Couldn't pull it down, though. As they're marching up the far sideline, Creed with the disc. Finds McFarlane. McFarlane trapped there. Has to lose a bunch of yards to hit Creed back. As the disc is moving backwards. Ooh, nobody was there. As the disc was moving backwards, those downfield cutters weren't coming back with the disc, ending up stranding those handlers. And when the one dump Savage wasn't able to get open, he really didn't have a throw and had to just shoot it across the sideline. Fan trapped on the sideline for Seattle. Usually a defensive player. Finds Pickle. This is typically a defense for Seattle. As there's Dewey Valentine trying to find Bender. But Savage ends up with the disc. As they move it up, there's a high floaty throw. It's going to be a bit of a crowd. 4 green and yellow shirts. Wow. Looks like Vancouver's confident enough with this 4-point lead right now to put in a few new faces and people who are sometimes on the offensive line on defense. This is a defensive line we've not seen before, as Seattle's just trying to stay in this game. Lynch with the disc, looking for somebody. Finds power position McKibben. Hits Lynch back. Shoots it up to House, I believe, who finds Mark Burton. Burton looking for anybody. Giant crossfield hammer, but tough shot to get Pape. Finds him. Can't be too happy with needing to throw a 45-yard hammer to move it 10 yards into the end zone, but you know, if it works, it works. And that's a point for Seattle. 9-12. Vancouver still up. Looks like a timeout called by Seattle. You see the teams taking the field again. If you're a little confused why they're running where they are, it's a new rule in the Major League Ultimate League this year, where if you want, after your team has been scored on, so you're going to come on defense, you can use a timeout. So Coach Gusson decided to use a timeout. This way, Feely is now pulling from half field. With 3 minutes left in the half, this is, you could almost consider an MLU version of an onside kick. It's a way to pull a big blade, try to keep that disc in bounds. Well done by Feely. As they're going to have 3 minutes with Savage pulling that disc up from deep in their end zone, hoping for a quick turn and a quick score. It's just a way to hopefully get a point on the board and get some momentum back before going into the half. Savage trapped deep on his sideline as he's being slightly double teamed. And the ref saying he's got to stay in bounds. Looks like his foot was on the line, but there's discussion with another ref. I'm not sure what the call is right now, but it looks like they're going to move him up to the front of the end zone. Oh, no. That was a turnover, possibly a stall, where Feely's going to pick it up right on the front of the end zone with a quick lefty to a diving, that might be Simon down there. Wes Simons with the disc. 12-10 Vancouver as they're going to receive the disc. Pull from Whipple, it looks like, which is going to stay in bounds near our sideline, the near sideline. Caught by Hoy and centered to Savage. We've been seeing that a lot. zony defense as Fan was just staying out in the lane, bids, but can't get there in time as he's going to pick up his man. Creed with the disc, not sure what to do, finds Hoy on the far sideline. Moves it all the way across. Creed shoots that lefty flick, if it's going to stay in bounds. And Tesserolo uses those shoulders, keep the defense away, keeps it in bounds, and responds in 20 seconds to bring it up 13-10. 2 minutes left in the half. Seattle offense has cleaned it up. They dropped a few, but it's been several points that they've been trading now as Tridiak centers to McGibbon. The defense is borrowing a page from Seattle's notebook, having the dump handlers' defense come off a bit, as there's a shot that's going to stay in bounds, but pretty floaty. And Laws not able to hold on to it, as that shot from Bailey just hung up too long. Laws has the speed, but a height disadvantage in that matchup. Had to keep that disc shorter. And instead, Vancouver's coming in with a very long 5 deep horizontal stack, finding Morgan Hibbert in the middle as everyone's clearing downfield to give themselves some room. You see Aponte come back with the disc. Right now, a little trouble creating spaces for Vancouver as they looked like they had one too many players downfield. Hibbert throws it lefty, hits Fan. Fan finds Chan on the far sideline and doesn't quite put it in, but then two-puts it in. You know, while Coach Lugsden did say they were going to try to move some players around, see who fit where, and that they're really looking ahead to make the Nighthawks as competitive as they can be at week 5 and not necessarily trying to put it all out right now. One thing you can be sure of is they're going to rely on Morgan Hibbert, who is right now just picking up anyone deep as the clock runs to 38 seconds. Still a good amount of time. Surprised they're playing such a prevent defense right now. Finding 6'6" Isaac Entz, who is pretty much uncovered. As Entz not sure what to do with the disc, finds Rupp. Rupp moves it all the way across to Lynch. Man defense. Force once again seems to be relatively straight up, slightly flick. As it looks like House has the disc. Finds Pape. 12 seconds left. They're just going to slowly move it in. 9 seconds, 8 seconds left. And there's a bit of a shot that puts it in for Burton. There's 4 seconds left on the clock as the score winding down that first half. 14-11 Nighthawks. 4 seconds, they're just going to have time to take the disc, pick it up, and throw a Hail Mary. Here's the pull by Feely from half field. They're just going to let it roll out the back. Referee marking where it went out and where they're going to start with the disc. To get this to be a Hail Mary, you'd have to two-putt it. You'd have to throw it to somebody who takes it and rips it, which is just not going to happen. So he's going to hold that disc while the half winds down, bringing it 14-11, Nighthawks lead over the Seattle Rainmakers here at Mount Vernon.
Stop your hands from sweating and increase your performance with Gamer Grip. This non-sticky solution allows you to make better throws and grab better catches without a hint of slippage. Innova is proud to support Major League Ultimate and its incredible athletes. As the official disc of the MLU, the Innova Pulsar has quickly become the disc of choice at Ultimate's highest level. Visit innovadisc.com to find a dealer near you.
Sleva, Entz, and Burton, all deep threats. One of them, probably Burton, going to be heavily mitigated by that pull from Morgan Hibbert. Well, mitigated by Hibbert. Hibbert with the pull. Juices up to House. House on the far sideline. Man defense from Vancouver. Big shot goes up. He's just hoping Entz is going to be tall enough to get it. But it's not far enough, and Hucketler gets up for the D. There's a deep throw, and Tridiak's going to get it back. As Morgan Hibbert owns the skies, but not when there's somebody in front of him. Tridiak throws a little scuba, and it looks like Natikman ended up hitting Sleeve on the way down. Everybody's all right. It's a 5-yard penalty as Sleeve is going to bring the ball in. House cutting from the horizontal stack. Horizontal stack about 15 to 20 yards deep. Just showing how easy the throws are right now, as nobody's concerned about being too deep, though maybe they should, as Sleeve and Ents are probably about 40 yards back right now. Moves it up to Tridiak, and Tridiak takes a deep shot to Pape. Pape's going to have a man on him, and it's broken up. Broken up there by, I believe, Chu. Not a clean start to the second half. We're 3 turnovers in, just a minute and a half, no scores. And make that 4 turnovers. McKibben picks it up. Looking quickly, decides to dump it to Pape. Maybe slow things down. Back to McKibben. Need somebody to take control of this offense, stop the turnovers, make it look easy. Danny Tridiak moves it over to a very contested throw as Jeff Pape gets it. There's Seattle defense getting ready to pull. Feely rips it. Looks like it's going to be Hoy centering to Savage. Nostradamus is correct. Savage looking for somebody. Looks like the play was to have Tessarolo coming across. He did come across and got some space, but those dump defenders were pulling off, making it a little difficult. Goes for that goofy scooper instead. And then moves it back up to Loach. Loach on that far sideline, a bit trapped. Looking for somebody to bail him out. And it's going to be a turnover on the stall. 7 seconds to throw it. Didn't quite get it off in time. As Feely's going to approach the disc. Putting this break in for Seattle would be pretty huge. Get that game within 2. Right now 14-12. Vancouver moves it up to the center of the field. And a hammer over to Byerly, who is so open that not worried about the hammer. Byerly comes down with it. Seattle pulls it within 1, 14-13. See Fan with some fancy footwork there. Getting ready for a defensive chance to put another one on the board and bring this game tied up as Feely pulls it. Before the game, both coaches talking about how they wanted to feel their teams out and try some new things, especially Coach Lugsden for the Nighthawks. But here you see in a close game, 1 point, 14-13, with 7 left in the quarter. Both teams look like they're really putting the same folks on the line, except for a couple change-ups midway for the Nighthawks. Putting the same folks on the line, just trying to move it around. And I suppose both teams coming off a loss in week 1 just want to have a win on the table. Disc midfield finds Hibbert. Hibbert 15 yards out. Dishes up to Wong. Wong just 5 yards to go. Over to Hibbert. It's the Hibbert and Wong show. And that show ends in a score for Vancouver as they do a little give and go to put it in the end zone, 15-13. Hibbert with the disc. That last play you saw Hibbert and Wong. Wong, last year's MVP. Longtime Ultimate player, but he had a breakout season about 2 years ago. And he has been really, I think, just not on people's minds enough. He was showing himself to be an unstoppable player. Won the MVP last year. And this year is showing that he is still in the record books. He's an offensive star seeking that end zone. Right now, Seattle trying to respond as Lynch tries to get up. But that floaty throw from McKibben gets broken up by Lynn, who goes up. And it looks like this is going to come in far sideline with Huckhatler. It's Morgan Hibbert taking the dump spot. Morgan Hibbert being guarded by Burton. Looking to get the disc off the line. Moves it up. But Burton proves he is good on defense and offense. Breaks that up, gets the inside lane, and lays out to stop that disc. Disc being brought in now, Seattle. They have the full field to go. Trapped on that far sideline. Looks like Rupp was looking for a foul there, but it's not going to happen. McKibben has the disc. Again, far sideline, a bit trapped, but finds Burton in the middle. Man defense, like we've been seeing the entire game. Lynch finds Burton again. Burton has a lot of time, decides to throw it up to McKibben. It's going to be a bit of a battle. McKibben not able to milk it in, but keeps it on that sideline. Dumps it. Wise move to Lynch. They're going to bring it around. Old school, real back to basics. Just keep that disc moving. Oh, that's what happens when you get away from the basics. Lefty backhand that floats away. 5 minutes left in the quarter. Big shot. It's going to be a little too far for anybody, curving the wrong way. If it were a little shorter, Fan could have had a chance. I think the intended receiver on the mark right now just couldn't have that lip on the disc, make it float away from him. Burton with the disc again. You can hear Make It Rain being shouted out. A shot to Lynch, but too far. Lynch wasn't really committed to that deep shot yet. He was still kind of trying to juke a Pinto off. And a timeout called by Coach Lugsden as he wants everyone to just take a deep breath. 4 minutes left and clean this game up. Two teams taking the field. As Savage starts with the disc, trying to calm this down as Lugsden and I'm sure Coach Gusson were both telling their teams, you guys got to calm down and clean this up. There's a big shot, pretty shot, finds Tesserolo just outside. A little accident as he gets run over half the yard to the end zone. About 6 inches, no big deal. Disc is put in. They just have to dish it to anybody. Any gain of yards will count, but there's going to be a call on the play. It's a foul on the defense, so that score will stand. Here we're seeing if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Morgan Hibbert with the pull. It's a big shot, high and floaty. Won't be too deep, though. As Seattle starts running forward. Mark Burton catching the pull. First time I've seen that, I think, in MLU history. He looks like he's playing handler right now. I'm not sure what they're doing. Letting some other folks try to go upfield. Running a little dominator as McKibben gets the disc. Dishes it back to Burton. Burton not being able to stop that quick movement by Hibbert. Finds Pape. Dishes it back to McKibben. Still a straight up, only slightly. Wow. Wow, that was a D. That's a flying lamb who really looked too far behind, like his best shot was just a ghosty, sort of like that one by Pape. But instead, he pulls the disc down. Off to the races, Chew with the disc, looking for somebody ahead of him. Finds it, just 3 yards to go. As Nadone, not sure what to do with the disc, a little stuck. 7 seconds, got to throw it, gets it off in time. Hibbert on the far sideline. It's a bit sloppy. An invert lefty shot that doesn't quite make it. Morgan Hibbert, interesting history. He's been playing Ultimate so long and broken his right arm so many times that he has just learned to throw lefty. So you'll see him when he catches the disc make a decision whether he's going to pivot left or right and then throw accordingly. That was an invert lefty backhand break. He is a right-handed player usually. Doesn't work that time. And now Pape finds himself with the disc for Rainmakers in the back center of his own end zone. Finds Sleva. Sleva looks off Isaac Entz, who is shooting deep but covered by Nadone. This one not pulled down. Very deep shot. It's going to be caught by House just outside. Looking for Rupp to do something. Rupp just runs away from him. 7 seconds. And does a little move that you more typically see in a halftime game called Goaltimate. Throws it behind him. The idea, of course, is that Burton catches the disc in the air, lands in the end zone. But they're saying no goal. Debating whether he caught the disc before he jumped. Oh, actually, they're calling a foul. So it's staying there with House. He gets half the distance to the goal line. Not that that helps much. The foul was before the throw. And he puts it in right away to Burton, who celebrates a bit. You hear the crowd enjoy that one. 14-16. Rainmakers within 2. Rainmakers about to pull with Eddie Feely on the disc. Rips it on that right side. The closest player to us, Brendan Wong. I'm looking at a stat sheet from last year right now. On this stat sheet, it looks like a lot of goals for a player to have in the league would be somebody like Khalif El-Salam had 19, Burton had 18. These are known players. Brendan Wong last year had 48 goals. There's about 10 games in the season, so he's on average scoring 4 to 5 goals a game. This guy is unstoppable. He is right now 3rd in the stack. As they move it, Henry Fan can't quite get up. Savage has the disc. Fan does succeed in blocking that hook. So instead, Throws it across to Eric. Sorry, that's Tesserolo. Tesserolo then hits Eric. Make sure I'm correct somehow. Gets 5 yards from a little foul. Just a little bump by Bender. 5 yards closer. That's 20 yards out right now. 12 yards out. Looking for somebody, a pretty stagnant stack, but there's Wong putting on another goal on that stat sheet. This man is just a end zone finder. He is a heat-seeking missile down there. He finds the disc. He finds the end zone. He puts them together. 48 goals last year. Unbelievable. Even if I didn't say it, you'd know it. There's Hibbert with the disc. Pulling. 3-point game. It's been a 3-point game for 2/3 of the game now. Minute 16 left in the third quarter. Seattle did pull it within 1, but then Vancouver quickly responded and broke out again. House finally finds Burton. Burton fakes the, I don't know what kind of goofy throw that was faked, and instead dumps it. Comes all the way across to Rupp. Deep horizontal stack, not sure what to do, so he's relying on McKibben to get open. McKibben does so. McKibben moving it up to Burton. Burton hoping for a foul, saying he had the disc, but on his way down, Hibbert landed on him. They're not giving him the foul, and so instead Hibbert has the disc. Playing a little show. As Seattle struggles to keep on their defenders, 30 seconds left in the quarter. And there's a bid, but a little too late, as Hibbert has the disc and nobody's around. People have almost given up on this play. Not in called. And finally, Ntickman's able to dish it over for a goal. It looks like Aponte with the score there. Hibbert with the pull. They're not putting out their tall 500 game line. Hibbert's going to pull. He's not even running down with the disc. 16 seconds are going to start as soon as McKibben catches this. McKibben catches it. Wasn't sure where to look at first as it looks like Jeske was screaming down. They put it into the end zone. Almost caught, but goes over the hands of Bren Byerly. Sorry, of Todd Sleva. And that's going to bring the quarter to a close. Vancouver Nighthawks lead the Seattle Rainmakers 18-14.
Can Jam, proud sponsor of MLU 2015. Can Jam is a fast-paced disc game perfect for the backyard, tailgating, or warming up for Ultimate. Get Can Jam today at the team store or online at canjam.com. Use bonus code ULTIMATE for 10% off your purchase. Point Six Socks, the official sock sponsor of Major League Ultimate. Check out www.point6.com for their full line of performance merino wool socks. Skippy, the official peanut butter of the MLU. Made with the funnest peanuts ever. Skippy Yippee!
Pull comes down, being caught. Centered immediately to Savage. As you see a bit of a goofy defense by Eddie Feely, who's just trying to stop that huck. Finding it looks like McFarlane in the middle of the field. Dishes over to Savage. There's a bid by Pickle, but can't get in front of Creed. Long on the near sideline. Back to Savage being the rock of this offense for the Nighthawks today. Going to try to find as Savage clears out, and instead finds Creed on the close sideline. Finds Wong past a diving, looks like Neely. And Wong's going to get 5 yards, or half the distance. Looks like 5 yards. He's just outside 10 yards out. Oh no, he's getting 10 yards. Putting him about 2 outside as he tries to get fancy and throw Scuba, which is picked off by the crowd. Eddie Feely's going to bring it in. This game not nearly as clean as it started off. In the beginning, 3 minutes, 5 points, no turnovers. That's how it started. And now they're getting timeouts left and right as these coaches are trying to reel it in and keep the turnovers to a minimum. Fair amount of personnel change as they've switched offense to defense. And also coaches Gustin and Lugsden might just want to be taking some people out, saying you got to clean up this game if you want to play, earn your play time on this field. And we start with the turn right away as Fan managed to break that up. Don't think the thrower saw him on the sideline there. Hibbert with the disc just 2 yards out. Looks like a bit of a travel as he decides to switch to his left foot for the pivot. So we see Coach Lugsden, looks like he put in a couple new players. Every time they get up about 4 or 5, the 2 times that's happened this game, it looks like he's comfortable enough to try something new. Disc center to Danny Tridiak. Tridiak looks for a quick shot to Isaac Entz, who is wide open. Ends up catching the disc with nobody around him just outside the end zone. And goes to the far sideline and hits Simons. Pull coming up from Feely. As you can see, sun's going down here. Not that makes it harder to see who's who, but it can make it a little harder for the cutters and defenders to judge the distance to the disc. For reasons I can't explain. When it gets dark and dim, it can be hard to tell depth perception on a Frisbee. Disc going up to Savage on the near sideline, being double teamed right now. Managed to get it off with a scuba. There's Loach. Finding Wong just outside the end zone. Wong is going to put an assist in his hands with Savage getting the goal. Switcheroo from the usual. You've seen just a few times little flashes of some experimental personnel from the Nighthawks. You haven't seen that from the Rainmakers, which is a bit surprising considering they're down 5. Maybe now's the time to try something new, see if some new player is going to come out and do something you didn't expect. Instead, it's Pape over to Entz in the middle. Entz finds, it looks like, Bailey. Bailey finds Tridiak. Having a little trouble. Tridiak looking for Entz again. And Entz having no problem bringing that in. Another great shot to 6'6" Entz, who doesn't even need to use his height on that one when it's floated so beautifully out in front to a lot of space. Fairly standard defensive line for Seattle. They have done almost no switching up of who's playing defense and who's playing offense. Lugsden was saying that the Nighthawks were switching that up last week. That this week they seem to have kept it pretty stable. Who's on offense and who's on defense. You know which side you're going in on. Deep shot right away. It's going to be challenged. Wow. And gets up plenty high where the D can be near him, but they're not getting that high up. Hibbert with the pull. Nighthawks doing a great job really keeping this game in their pocket. Every point looks like it's pretty even, and they'll just trade points for 4 or 5. Then the Nighthawks manage to pull off a break. Trade points for 4 or 5, Nighthawks pull off a break. And you keep that up for 35 minutes, and you find yourselves down 5 to the Nighthawks as they're pulling off breaks, and Seattle's so rare to respond. Jeff Pape looking at a very deep downfield cutters. Finds House. Hauser shoots upfield to Isaac Entz, who they're probably backing at this point, giving him the underneaths after being too scared of him going deep. On the far sideline with Lynch. And Lynch finds Hauser just outside the end zone. Hauser flashing a little, ready for the scuba, but then decides, let's keep it easy. Pulls coming up from Seattle. They're going to roll it out the far sideline. Very nicely done. Rolls out at about the 20-yard line. I realize it looks like the 30 here, but remember those end zones are wider than a football field. They go to the 10-yard line. Double team on that far sideline. Needs to scuba it off, but has no problem doing so. Seattle trying some different defense, partly to get the turns, of course, but also partly to just try this out, see how it works with the team this year. It is still week 2. Lots of teams are trying out their own personnel, their own strategy, see what's going to work for them, what isn't, what's going to work against what teams. One thing that's been working certainly for Vancouver is giving the disc to Savage, and he shows right there why. That'll affect your throws, your catches, that'll affect almost everything. Especially when those hands get cold, it gets harder to hit the disc. You'll see a lot more kind of donks, people trying to catch it, and it just bounces off their hands. There's McKibben stuck a bit in the middle. McKibben back with the disc, sends it up to Burton. Burton once again doing a poor job faking a hammer. Instead just hits it back to Rupp, it looks like. Sends it up to Hauser. Hauser finds Burton. Burton being guarded by Morgan Hibbert, but still managed to get open. Looking like at will, but only underneath. He's not getting the disc deep. Disc on the far sideline. Goes over to Brad Hauser. Happy to get that disc and toe the line. Goal Seattle. 5 minutes left in the game. Seattle down 4. If the Nighthawks are able to keep control like they have been on offense, just keeping the disc in their hand, playing a very nice possession game, while Seattle's getting fired up, knowing that now's the time to make a move. 4-point deficit, nothing too terrible. Something that can be made up in 5 minutes, but it's got to start now. Forcing some scoopers on the other side, as it looks like Hoy gets it close sideline. And that disc picked off by Klein, who just catches it, gets excited, throws a hammer. So is that a fluke break or the start of a run? Pull comes up. Pull called inbounds by the refs. You see Dewey Valentine streaking down, getting on the mark immediately. Fired up Rainmaker defense, excited. If they can pull this one, it'll be the start of quite a momentum shift. As Seattle feeling like they can compete now. Wong with the disc on the far sideline. Centers it. Looking for anybody. Savage picks it up. Dewey Valentine still keeping him close. Not too many open shots. Near sideline, firing it up. Wong, people are so afraid of him going deep that he gets those unders whenever he wants. Wong shooting deep on Pickle, but Pickle guarding him quite closely. And there's a timeout called. Vancouver scores, and that's just a fluke break from the Rainmakers. Rainmakers score, and they are riding a wave that could take them right back to a very tight game. Up 3 right now, as Tessarola gets the disc on the near sideline. And the shot bounces off a ref. Tessarola not happy about this, but it is soccer-style rules. The refs are part of the field. If you throw it into a ref, that is a turnover. Feely with the disc. Near sideline. It's the chance to score 2 in a row here. Feely to Neely. Far sideline. Biener's going to have to pull it in, but he does lefty. Centers it to Fan, who hits Feely. 3 minutes, 14 seconds left on the clock. Moving it up the field nicely. And there's an injury called, so this is probably not going to count, as the play was stopped beforehand with, it looks like, Wong down on the ground, getting up and limping bad off the field. Refs are convening to decide whether that was a score or not. Rule to score. That's break number 2. Second break by Seattle. Got a bit lucky there that Wong went down, unfortunately, right then. Nice little pat comes in from Klein. And Seattle pulls within 2, 3 minutes left in the game. Eddie Feely with the disc. About to do an outside-in blade pull. And there it is. As they try to stop the disc, are unable to. Rolls out the back, and it's going to be taken at the very back of the end zone by Savage. As the 3-minute countdown's already started. Disc hit a player. Disc is in, far sideline. Playing in the dusk at this point. Trap down there. Need to get it out of the end zone, which they're able to do. Disc is now officially out of danger territory. No deep shot. Nice cut by Eric there, who streaked deep. And that disc is almost saved. Morgan Hibbert saying there was a foul that it looks like Byerly, he believes, landed on him. The refs agreeing Hibbert had the disc before Byerly landed. Crowd not liking that call much at all. 2 minutes left in the game, 2-point game. And the refs are calling something that they've decided to discuss with Coach Gusson. Minute 58 left on the clock. Hoy with the disc, opens immediately. About 10 yards out of the end zone right now. And there's a turnover, just a little missed shot. Threw it slightly behind, Eddie Feely picking up the disc. Looking for something quick, finds Henry Fan on the far sideline. Minute 40 left. Big shot, it's going to be challenged. Unfortunately, Bender can't get up past the defender as Nighthawks batted away and end up picking it up in their own end zone. A little scary for the Nighthawks, but if they can run the clock down, that works. There were 3 minutes when this point started. We're down to $1.18, and it's still a 2-point lead for the Nighthawks. Maybe not how they want to win, but if it's a war of attrition, they will do it. Eric gets the disc on the far sideline. A bit stuck there. Finds Savage. Savage always the sideline bailout for the Nighthawks. Savage backing it up even further. And funky looking throw. Pickle was doing great D on the cross, but then they managed to throw an over the top to Tesserolo. Tesserolo another over the top. And getting what looks like a bit lucky, a bit sloppy play, but there's a big shot and a fantastic D. No foul called. That D by Bender, it looks like. Getting the disc right back to Bender. 23 seconds left. They're going to have to put it in real soon if they want a chance at this game. Feely's going to have to put something. And he just puts it in the middle to Bender. Bender, they're not paying attention to the clock. There's only 10 seconds left in this game, and they need 2 points. There's a shot to the end zone. Oh, no. You got a defender to flash in front of him, break up the line of sight. And the clock will run down. Close fight, good ending by the Rainmakers. But the Nighthawks hold on to their lead 22-20. High-scoring game there.